primarily in a place that, let's say, is mostly Hispanic. I'm not saying it's wrong for the composition of those people who make up that local church to be mostly Hispanic. What I'm saying is wrong is if the desire is to be only. What I'm saying is wrong is the desire is to be only people of this economic class. We don't really want those who are down there. We don't really want those who are up there. That does not reflect the heart of God. The church is a place of healing and reconciliation. Therefore, it is an institution without walls. Religion builds walls to keep good people in and bad people out. Christianity, which is a relationship with Jesus Christ, tears down walls and seeks to deliver the healing message of the gospel to every single person who needs it. That's why we're a church without walls. There's an order and discipline in the church, but the doors of the church, which are people's hearts, those are the doors of the church. Sometimes it's a culture of people's hearts together, are always open to others who are outside. So we believe it's a core tenet of who Man and Church is, an operational principle. The church should be a church without walls. We should reflect the community where we're planted. Number 10, we're not a church with small groups. We're a small group church. Got to get that. We're not a church with small groups. A bunch of churches say, we're a church and we've got small groups as a part. That's not what Man and Church says. We say we are a small group church. We're not a church with small groups. Everything in Man and Church is a small group. The elders, the group of elders meeting together, that's small group. The worship team, small group. VIP team, small group. Children's ministry team, small group. You go, that's a ministry. Yes, they do ministry, but they're comprised of groups of small groups. That's how we operate. We see the church in the New Testament, and it includes both the celebration and the cell. In our context, Sunday morning, where we celebrate together, or really weekend experiences, where so they don't always have to be on Sunday morning, where we celebrate as a group together, and then also small groups. Now, the book of Acts kind of tells us the history of the church and the history of the early church. And then you'll find a couple places throughout the book of Acts where there's narrative, then like this pause, parentheses, if you will, that says, this is the operation. Here's the order and how it happened. This is what it was that they did. Acts 2, and we're going to read in Acts 2, is one of those. We call this the Acts 2 model. Now, I hope you've got your notes. This passage is printed in your notes. So I wonder if you'd do me a favor. I'd invite you to kind of circle house to house or house and temple, and we'll see why that's important. They were continuing. This is how the early church was operating. This is kind of the primer for what was normative for them. They were continually devoting themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. And everyone kept feeling a sense of awe, and many signs and wonders were taking place through the apostles. So it's just great, and fellowshipping together, being together, there's teaching of the word, there's all that stuff that happens. And all those who had believed were together and had all things in common, and they began selling their property and possessions and sharing them all with anyone who might have need. Day by day, continuing with one mind in the temple, circle that, and breaking bread from house to house, circle that. They were taking their meals together with gladness and sincerity of heart, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord was adding to their number day by day those who were being saved. So I want you to notice they met in the temple. That's the celebration. For us, that would be worship experiences, weekend experiences, and then also in the house to house in small groups. And they had the word. So they devote themselves to the word. And so we can see a whole bunch of the elements. If we took more time, we walk through the elements of church that exist here in Acts 2 and the elements of meeting together. They had the word. And can you do that? Can you focus on the word, the Bible, and what's going on in both a small group and in a celebration experience? Absolutely. You can do both in there. Can you do personal ministry? Celebration? Not really. Yeah, we're going to pause right now and we're going to lay on hands for Julie and for this person. It doesn't really work very well in the celebration experience, but can you do that in the house to house? Yes, you absolutely can. Taking care of the poor, does that work in the celebration? No, in fact, it would be embarrassing. It would be very difficult. In A small group, could you do that? A whole lot more easily. Absolutely. In fact, most of what the church does operates best in a small group. Gift development, gift usage, small group's the best spot for that. You can do that some in the celebration, but not everybody. Not everybody can use their gift there. Small group is a better opportunity for that. In fact, in the New Testament church, it really is small group centric. Really is about small groups. And so we believe, this can be a little counterculture in the Western church, but we believe that most of what happens in church should and does happen in small groups. It works better in small groups, house to house, sphere of relationship to sphere of relationship, as people gather around a common interest or a common need or a common burden or a common passion. You'll do way more of what the church is called to do, way more of the ministry that God has given us,